The fluorescent lights of the NICU hummed, a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos that had just erupted in my life. My body, still reeling from the monumental effort of bringing 9 lives into the world, felt like a battlefield. Every muscle screamed, every nerve ending throbbed, yet the physical pain was a dull ache compared to the gaping wound in my soul. He was gone. David, the man who had promised forever, who had celebrated every flutter of life within me, had vanished. Not with a bang, but with a whimper, leaving behind only the chilling silence of his absence and the stark reality of divorce papers. The doctors called my delivery a miracle, a 1 in a billion event. But what kind of miracle leaves you utterly alone, with 9 impossibly tiny, impossibly vulnerable lives depending solely on you? The betrayal was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I had survived the impossible feat of non-uplet birth, but I was drowning in the aftermath of his abandonment. And I remember the nurse, a kind woman named Sarah, gently asking if I needed anything. Her voice was soft, concerned, and it was then that the dam broke. Tears, hot and relentless, streamed down my face, blurring the incubators that held my precious children. How could I explain the depth of this pain? How could I articulate the agony of being left by the very person who had championed this journey? He had been there for every ultrasound, every doctor's visit, every late-night craving. He had painted the nursery, assembled 9 cribs, and spoken of our future with such conviction. And now, he was just gone. The world outside celebrated our miracle. But within the confines of my hospital room, a different story was unfolding. A story of profound betrayal, of a love that withered under the weight of responsibility. The physical scars of childbirth would heal, but the emotional devastation he inflicted felt permanent. A constant reminder of the fragility of promises and the crushing reality of being utterly, terrifyingly alone. Our journey to parenthood had been a long and arduous one, paved with disappointment and heartache, years of trying, countless negative tests, and the quiet despair that settled in after each failed attempt. David and I had always envisioned a large family, a house filled with laughter and the joyful chaos of children. We poured our hearts and savings into fertility treatments, clinging to every sliver of hope. He was my rock, my unwavering optimist, always reminding me that our time would come, that our family was destined to be. When the first ultrasound revealed not 1, but 2 heartbeats, we were ecstatic. Twins! It felt like a divine reward for our perseverance. David was over the moon, already planning their future, his excitement infectious. NBUT. Then came the second ultrasound, and the doctor's stunned silence. "There are more," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I count 9. 9. The word echoed in the small room, a surreal, impossible number. Our joy morphed into a terrifying disbelief. The doctor spoke of the extreme risks, the astronomical odds against all of them surviving, let alone being born healthy. She presented the option of selective reduction, a clinical term for a choice that felt barbaric, unthinkable. My mind reeled, grappling with the enormity of it all. But David, my ever-optimistic David, was surprisingly firm. "No," he declared, his hand covering mine, his voice resolute. "They are all our children. Every single one is a gift. We will keep them all." He saw it as a sign, a blessing for our years of struggle, a testament to our faith. He became obsessed with the pregnancy, reading every book, tracking my diet, massaging my swollen feet. He was the perfect, doting father-to-be, meticulously assembling 9 cribs, painting the nursery, building a nest for the family he had always wanted. I watched him, my heart swelling with love, and I believed him. I believed in his strength, in his promises. I believed we were in this together, ready to face the impossible, hand in hand. I never once imagined that the man who prayed for a miracle would be the first to run from it, leaving me to face the impossible alone. The delivery was a blur of controlled chaos, a testament to the dedication of the medical team. Over 30 doctors and nurses, a small army, worked in perfect synchronicity to bring our non-uplets into the world. One by one they emerged, impossibly small, fragile, yet perfect in every detail. Their tiny cries, though faint, filled the operating room with a sound more beautiful than any symphony. They were immediately whisked away to the NICU, a flurry of activity surrounding their delicate forms. I was exhausted, my body screaming in protest, but a profound sense of accomplishment and overwhelming love washed over me. I was a mother. A mother of 9. When they finally wheeled me in to see them, David was already there, standing by the incubators, but the joy I expected to see on his face was absent. Instead, there was a flicker of something else, fear, raw and unmasked. A panic that seemed to deepen with every tiny breath our children took. NTHE first few days were a relentless cycle of beeping machines, hushed conversations with doctors, and the constant, gnawing anxiety that clung to me like a second skin. The sheer magnitude of our situation began to sink in, and it was overwhelming. The medical bills, already astronomical, piled up like a cruel monument to our miracle. The media, ever hungry for a sensational story, had descended upon the hospital, turning our private joy and terror into a public spectacle. David, once my unwavering support, grew distant. He spent hours on his phone, his brow furrowed with worry, his conversations clipped and tense. "The house is too small," he'd mutter, pacing the room. "How will we afford formula? Diapers for 9? What about college?" The practicalities, once dismissed as minor details, now loomed like insurmountable mountains in his mind. The man who had been my rock began to crumble. He visited the NICU less and less, offering flimsy excuses. Work was busy, he was tired, he needed to sort out our finances. When he did come, he was withdrawn, a ghost haunting the edges of our new reality. I tried to reach him, to reassure him. "We'll figure it out, David," I'd plead, my own voice trembling with exhaustion and fear. "We'll do it together, just like we always planned." But he would only shake his head, a look of utter despair in his eyes. "You don't get it, Maria. This is not a plan, it's a catastrophe." The word struck me like a physical blow. Catastrophe. He was looking at our children, our precious miracles, and seeing a disaster. The cracks in our foundation were widening into chasms, and I was terrified that we were about to fall apart, taking our fragile new family with us. An NTHE day he left is etched into my memory with agonizing clarity. The babies were 3 weeks old, still in the NICU, but making slow, steady progress. They were fighters, every single one of them. I had just come home for a few precious hours, desperate for a shower and a meal that didn't come from a vending machine. The house, usually filled with the phantom echoes of a life we were building, was eerily quiet. I walked into the bedroom and found David packing a suitcase. Not a hospital bag for me, not a bag for the baby's homecoming, but a suitcase for himself. My heart seized in my chest. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, a desperate plea for this to be a nightmare. NHE wouldn't look at me. He continued folding his shirts with a cold, mechanical precision, his movements devoid of emotion. "I'm leaving, Maria." He said it so calmly, so matter-of-factly, as if he were announcing a trip to the grocery store. I couldn't process it. I thought it was a cruel, stress-induced joke, a twisted prank. But then I saw his eyes, and they were empty. The love, the warmth, the man I had married. It was all gone, replaced by a chilling void. "You can't," I pleaded, grabbing his arm, my fingers digging into his flesh. "David, you can't leave us. The babies need you. I need you." He finally turned to me, and his face was a mask of pure resentment, contorted by a bitterness that shocked me to my core. "No, you don't get to say that," he spat, his voice laced with venom. "This was your choice. You're the one who refused to reduce. You wanted this circus, you can have it." The cruelty of his words stole the air from my lungs. He was twisting my unwavering love for our children into a weapon, rewriting our shared history, erasing his own fervent prayers for a family. He was making this my fault, absolving himself of any responsibility. For a week I existed in a haze, a painful, disoriented autopilot. I shuffled between the hospital and the desolate house, my mind a fog of pain and disbelief. I felt like I was drowning, and the man who was supposed to be my life raft had not only pushed me under, but had then sailed away. I told no one about David's departure. The shame was a heavy cloak, suffocating me. Our families believed he was working extra hours, preparing for the baby's homecoming, a narrative I desperately clung to. But the secret was a festering wound, eating away at my soul, isolating me further in my grief. The nurses in the NICU, however, were perceptive. They noticed the subtle shifts in my demeanor, the haunted look in my eyes. One afternoon, a kind, older woman named Carol, her eyes filled with gentle concern, pulled me aside. "Honey," she said softly, her voice a balm to my raw nerves. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world. Where's your husband?" And then, the dam broke. The whole ugly, heartbreaking story poured out of me. I cried in her arms, letting go of the shame, the humiliation, the crushing weight of David's betrayal. I expected pity, perhaps even judgment, but what I received was an overwhelming wave of compassion and understanding. And then, something truly incredible happened. Carol, without a moment's hesitation or asking for my permission, started a GoFundMe page. She didn't sensationalize our story. She told the raw, honest truth. A mother left to raise 9 miracle babies on her own. She shared it with the hospital staff, and from there, it spread like wildfire, carried on the winds of human empathy. The story went viral. As the weeks bled into months, we slowly, painstakingly, found our rhythm. It was a messy, imperfect, sleep-deprived rhythm, but it was uniquely ours. I learned to distinguish each child's cry. Noah's demanding wail when he was hungry, Maya's soft whimpering cry when she needed a cuddle, Leo's contented gurgle after a feeding. I mastered the art of feeding 2 babies at once, changing a diaper in record speed, and functioning on 3 hours of broken sleep. My life became a relentless, all-consuming cycle of caring for them, but in the midst of the beautiful chaos, there were moments of pure, unadulterated joy that pierced through the exhaustion. The first time Leo smiled at me, a wide, gummy grin that melted my heart. The way Luna would wrap her tiny hand around my finger and hold on tight, a fragile but powerful connection. The sound of 9 babies cooing and gurgling in unison in the morning, a chorus of pure innocence. These were the moments that fueled me, that reminded me of the profound blessing I had received. A few weeks ago, a letter arrived. It was from David's mother. Her handwriting was shaky, her words filled with a quiet despair. She wrote that David was miserable. His new, carefree life, the one he had chosen over us, had turned out to be empty and lonely. He had lost his job, his fair-weather friends had drifted away, and he spent his days consumed by a gnawing regret. She said he wanted to see the children. He wanted to be a father now. I read the letter, my heart strangely calm. There was no anger, no satisfaction, just a quiet, profound finality. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in a drawer, a closed chapter in a book I was no longer reading. That door is closed. He doesn't get to walk back in a year later and play dad, after we've already survived the storm, after I built this beautiful, chaotic life without him. Justice, I've learned, isn't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's the quiet, inescapable consequence of your own choices. His justice is the profound loneliness he chose. My victory is the overwhelming, unconditional love that surrounds me, the vibrant, joyous life I built from the rubble of a broken heart. And as I watch my 9 babies smash their fists into their birthday cakes, their faces smeared with frosting, their laughter echoing through the house, I know, with a certainty that settles deep in my soul, that we are more than okay. We are thriving. I have built a life for us, a beautiful, chaotic, loving life, on the foundation of my own strength, and the kindness of strangers who became family. I survived giving birth to 9, but not my husband's betrayal. His departure was not the end of my story, it was the beginning. He thought he was leaving me with a burden, but he was wrong. He left me with 9 miracles. And they, in turn, saved me. They are my victory, my legacy, my everything. And our future, filled with their laughter and love, is brighter than I ever dared to dream.